Welcome to the International MECFS Awareness Day. Most of you know me. My name is Sally Callow and I am an ME sufferer. I don't know if a lot of you know what ME is. Most people think it's just tiredness, but that is absolutely incorrect. Just so I'm aware, how many ME sufferers are there in this room? 5 people. That's how common it is in the UK. International ME Awareness Day was, the 12th of May was chosen because it's Florence Nightingale's birthday. Believe it or not, Florence Nightingale had ME herself and was bedridden for 50 years, towards the end of her life. This is the 20th year of the Awareness Day, and it was actually set up by charities to raise public awareness, but also to educate health professionals who didn't know what they were talking about, to be perfectly honest. To celebrate the event, the Niagara Falls goes blue, and so does a Spinnaker Tower. So when you leave tonight, have a look, it will be blue. I've been promised that, so if it's not my fault. Okay, so there are 17 million ME sufferers across the globe, 250,000 in the UK, and yet there are no known causes. You'll get to see this little guy a little bit later. I will be doing a little bit of a presentation about Foggy, people that don't know who he is. Okay, so I've broken down what myalgic encephalomyelitis is. My means muscle, algic means pain, encephalo is brain, myel is spinal cord, and itis is inflammation. So essentially it's muscle pain with brain and spinal cord inflammation, in a nutshell. But because it's so difficult to pronounce, it gets shortened to ME, understandably. I didn't learn how to pronounce it until about year 3. Much easier to say ME. Try saying it when you've had a few pints, it's very difficult. Okay, so these are the symptoms. I've got all of these apart from pain. They are sporadic, some days are worse than others. When it says extreme tiredness, it's the most tired you've ever been in your life, but most days, I'm quite lucky, mine kicks in about 6 o'clock at night. Short-term memory loss. There is a friend in this room who thinks that my memory loss is selective because I only forget certain things that she tells me, but I can assure you it's not, it is a symptom. I forget all sorts of weird and wonderful things. The biggest thing is tiredness, but brain fog is also a massive one. Sometimes trying to get a thought into your brain is like fighting your way through cotton wool. Not easy. I'm quite lucky because I still work full time, but there are a large percentage of people that can't work and are on disability benefit. Intolerances are also very frequent. I'm going to talk about my symptoms in more detail in a minute, but intolerances is a big one. And I can't even say it, disequilibrium, lack of balance is also an issue for a lot of people. But yeah, so where am I? Okay, so the Awareness Day is actually called ME/CFS Awareness Day. When I was first diagnosed, they told me I had chronic fatigue syndrome. That was 7 years ago. Now they're saying that ME is exactly the same as CFS, and it's essentially, it should only be called ME. So ME is essentially an umbrella. Mild symptoms are at one end, severe is at the other. And they're trying to get rid of CFS because chronic fatigue syndrome is extremely misleading, and people think it's just tiredness. And as you can see, it's not. All of these symptoms apply to CFS as well as ME. So one of the things that makes a relatively okay day into an exceptionally bad day is stress, exertion, and extreme temperatures. With me, I'm a stress head, I'm a worrier. It doesn't take a lot for me to go from having a normal day where I feel like I just have slight flu to not being able to feel my arms and legs while I'm laying in bed. I think that applies to most people as emotional stress, work stress, just relationship hassle in general can really make your day get a lot worse. Exertion could be absolutely anything. It could be a stroll around the park or going for a light swim with your child or anything. Any kind of exertion puts a massive strain on your body and makes you extremely exhausted. So a little bit about me. So as I say, all of those apply to me apart from pain. The reason I've dimmed the lights tonight isn't for the video, it's for my own personal benefit because I can't stand bright light. That's why I've got tinted glasses, only slightly, just takes the edge off. Otherwise I get a really fuzzy head and pain behind my eyes. Noise sensitivity. I think I'm the only person on the planet that stood outside a nightclub and said to the bouncer, can you please turn the music down because it's absolutely ripping through me. It gives me an extreme headache, my heart feels like it's just pumping out of my chest, it makes me feel dizzy. So yeah, I don't like noise. One thing, temperature control. I feel exceptionally hot, like I'm having a hot flush during the day, but at night, every night, whatever the season is, I have thermal socks, thermal pyjamas, 2 duvets, and I'm still shivering every night. I don't know if any of the other sufferers can relate to that. But yeah, temperature control is a big thing with me. Speech impairment, I'm okay now, but come the end of the talk I may well be either slurring or a bit hoarse, because as I get more and more tired, I'll get golf ball glands in my throat. So yeah, so you have to excuse me if I start coughing. Oh, dead legs. Dead legs, funnily enough, isn't a medical term, but that's what I call it. All day, every day, I feel like I'm walking through treacle, as if I've got bags of sugar attached to the bottoms of my legs. But occasionally, I completely lose sensation in my legs and my brain can't feel my limbs. Sometimes, if that's halfway up a flight of stairs, it can be a bit of an issue. But yeah, I don't know if anyone else has that problem and calls it dead legs, but that's what I call it. So a little bit about my story. I've actually had ME twice. I was undiagnosed in my teens. I missed a lot of school, like 2 years worth of school, and it was when we did the options years, when you choose your GCSEs. And like I said, I was undiagnosed, and I must have had about 50 doctor's appointments over the space of 2 years. And I was tired, I felt dizzy. I can't really remember much about that, but I think that's my memory loss more than anything. And then overnight, I just got better. And it was like, oh, what was that all about? And moved on. And then when I was 30, it hit again. I just finished a degree. I moved home to Portsmouth, started a master's degree here. And then within a week, I had a severe ear infection, so labyrinthitis. Couldn't stand up for 6 weeks. And then I was fine, and then I was okay for 4 weeks, and then the dizziness and the feeling sick and the extreme tiredness started, and I've never recovered. Most ME starts with a virus. Most people have ear infections, flu, glandular fever. Martine McCutcheon got hers from glandular fever. Don't know if anybody knows, but she has actually got ME. Oh, where was I? Yeah. So I've had 2 bouts. I've lost my train of thought. Yes, so I had 3 years of lots and lots of doctor's tests. I had a CAT scan, X-rays, nerve ending tests. I had blood tests, so they were coming out my ears. With ME, it's a case of eliminating absolutely everything that it could possibly be. There is no test. There is no, oh, we've done a blood test to test you for ME. It's just what's left. It's kind of like a symptoms test. So they just make a big list and they say, well, we've tested you for that and we've tested you for that. This is what's left. So it took me 3 years. Very, very long and painful process. I lost a lot of friends in that time because obviously if you don't know what's wrong with you and you every 5 minutes are saying, I'm too tired, I can't, but not being able to give a reason, understandably, that's why I did lose friends in that time. I found a clip on, before I do that, when I was diagnosed, there is no treatment apart from cognitive behavioural therapy. I've done that, didn't really work for me, apart from pacing. All that is essentially you have to think of your energy levels as a battery. You always have to make sure it's halfway up. It should never dip below halfway. Otherwise, it's too late. You'll crash. And then that's when you're laying on your bed, not able to feel your arms and legs, hot and cold, just that's when you really crash. It's not good. But unfortunately, if you're like me and you work full time, it's incredibly difficult to have your 2 or 3 minutes of absolute peace and quiet. I tend to go and sit in the staff toilet. God knows what they think I'm doing in there, but yeah, quite often I go and just take myself off. But you have to do it before you feel tired. Once you feel tired, it's too late. And there's no way back, really. You just have to struggle on for the rest of the day. Anyway, on YouTube, I found this Golden Girls clip. Now, I've never watched Golden Girls, but apparently one of the characters had ME, or chronic fatigue syndrome, because it's an American program. So I'm just going to put this on now. This shows, in a humorous way, the anger that ME sufferers feel towards their doctors. Doctors do not take ME seriously. The train of thought's changing slightly now, but they used to think it was all in your head, and they thought that seeing a psychiatrist would fix the problem. So yeah, this is the clip.
Dr. Budd?
Yes.
You probably don't remember me, but you told me I wasn't sick. Do you remember? You told me I was just getting old.
I'm sorry, I really don't
remember. Maybe you're getting old. That's a little joke. Well, I tell you, Dr. Budd, I really am sick. I have chronic fatigue syndrome. That is a real illness. You can check with the Center for Disease Control.
Oh, well, I'm sorry about that.
Well, I'm glad. At least I know I have something.
I'm sure. Well, nice seeing you.
Not so fast. There are some things I have to say. There are a lot of things that I have to say. Words can't express what I have to say. What I went through, what you put me through. I can't do this in a restaurant.
Good.
But I will.
Louis, who is this person?
Look, miss.
Sit. I sat for you long enough. Dr. Budd, I came to you sick and scared, and you dismissed me. You didn't have the answer, and instead of saying, I'm sorry, I don't know what's wrong with you, you made me feel crazy, like I had made it all up. You dismissed me. You made me feel like a child, a fool, a neurotic who was wasting your precious time. Is that your caring profession? Is that healing? No one deserves that kind of treatment, Dr. Budd. No one. I suspect had I been a man, I might have been taken a little bit more seriously and not told to go to a hairdresser.
Look, I am not going to sit here anymore.
Shut up, Louis.
I don't know where you doctors lose your humanity, but you lose it. You know, if all of you at the beginning of your careers could get very sick and very scared for a while, you'd probably learn more from that than anything else. You'd better start listening to your patients. They need to be heard. They need caring. They need compassion. They need attending to. You know, someday, Dr. Budd, you're going to be on the other side of the table. And as angry as I am, and as angry as I always will be, I still wish you a better doctor than you were to me.
Yeah, when I first saw that resonated with me quite a lot. Because when I was first diagnosed, I was diagnosed by a locum doctor. And what he said to me was, I think you've got ME, but don't worry about it. It's a disability. And that's what he said to me. Right, so I'm going to go on to severe sufferers, because not all of us look like this. There are, I think it's 25% of the 250,000 people who are bedbound or housebound. Their symptoms are so severe, they don't have the energy to move, breathing is difficult, they can't speak. I've actually got a YouTube clip in a minute to show you something about bedbound, but I was unable to find a clip to show what it was truly like. Because if you think about it, if you're so sensitive to noise and light, you can't bear having a video camera in your room. You don't see family for days on end because you can't bear the noise. They can't talk to you. There are so many clips on YouTube that just say, like the parent has said, I haven't seen so-and-so for so many days because they're so poorly, they can't bear the noise of me being in the same room. It's absolutely dreadful. Just imagine yourself in their shoes. You're in a black room, no noise, you can't watch telly, you can't read a book, definitely can't have any lights on whatsoever. So pitch black. More often than not, the blackout curtain doesn't cut out enough light, so you have to wear an eye mask like you would wear on a plane. That's the extreme, and that is ME at its very worst. And that's the reason why I'm doing all this. Oh, I'm going to get choked up. Open the video. Understandably, these people feel like they're invisible. Being stuck in a room, unable to speak to anybody, you just feel like you don't exist. There's an intense feeling of isolation, and that's one of the things that they say, you know, when they do questionnaires and things, that's one of the biggest issues for severe ME sufferers. The fact that the healthcare profession think that they're lying, that they're not really ill, and then to have to deal with that on a daily basis is just unacceptable. Okay, so public perception is actually the biggest fight of all. There are many people that think if you haven't got a plaster, there's nothing wrong with you. Lots of illnesses have that problem, so depression, PTSD, things like that. So we all know that invisible illnesses are out there. ME is one of them. Anyone looking at me in the street would think there's absolutely nothing wrong with me. The only person I know that knows there's anything wrong with me is my mum. When I'm talking to her, we could be mid-conversation and my eyes just shut down. The shutters just come down. And that's when she says, do you want to sit? Yes, please. But public perception is why May the 12th is needed. The more people see this, the better, because so many people have it and yet nobody knows what it actually is. It's a constant battle to be believed, and there is absolutely no way to prove that you've got it. Like I say, there is no test. You're just going by some doctors say so, essentially. There's absolutely no way of knowing. To be honest, through my social media campaign that I'm going to talk about in a bit, I've become really good friends with a couple of ME sufferers. One woman's in exactly the same situation as me. She's working full time, she's got loads of qualifications, but she's exceptionally poorly. And she said to me, some days you feel like you haven't got ME because nobody believes you. And it's like, well, yeah, I agree with you. Because I'm not bedbound, have I got ME? Have they misdiagnosed me? And I'll show you later, there's a new thing coming out and there's a diagnostic criteria. And I read that and I have got ME. But like I say, there is no test, it's not definitive. I found a Ricky Gervais clip on YouTube. Some sufferers might know about this already. He got a lot of flack for it. This is back in 2007. He's apologised since, but he said he uses public perception and opinion to create his comedy sketches. So everything he says comes from public perception, okay?
Saw someone collecting the other day for ME. Not MS, not the crippling wasting disease. Oh no, ME. That's the one where don't feel like going to work today. Oh. ME. I apologise to anyone who suffers from ME. You're not going to have a go, are you?
And these are just a few of the comments that I've actually had myself, personally. I feel tired too. Maybe if you exercise, you'll get better. You should change your diet. Can't you just push through it? Is that a real thing now? I wish I could stay in bed all day. I can't be bothered to go to work today either, and you look fine to me. All of which are incredibly insensitive. Yes, okay, you feel tired, but you do not feel like you've run a marathon. Okay, this is a new development, and I haven't completely got my head around it yet, so I'm going to have to read off the screen. The Institute of Medicine in America spent, I think it's 3 years and lots of millions of pounds questioning lots and lots of ME sufferers on what their symptoms were, what their experience was of ME, and they decided that it needed a name change because ME doesn't actually cover what the whole system, what all the symptoms are. So this is the thing that they suggested, systemic exertion intolerance disease. My mum pointed out it says DIES backwards, which, you know, is not the best. Oh, where are we? Yeah, so that's that. Actually, systemic means all systems, so it affects every single system, thank you, in your body. Exertion is obviously any kind of exertion, whether that's stress or exercise, anything that makes your body move internally or externally. Intolerance, disease. Now, I was really happy about seeing this because disease means it's a physical, tangible thing. It's not a syndrome, it's not an illness, it's a disease. So that's progress, but some people are a bit iffy about it, but it's not been 100% accepted yet. ME sufferers already have to say they've got ME/CFS, now they've got to say /SED as well. Yeah, so this is the diagnosis criteria. So I've actually got every single one of these points, which really made me happy because it meant that I've actually got this. So they have to have, in case you can't read it, must have 3 core symptoms of substantial reduction or impairment in the ability to engage in pre-illness levels of activities, but it has to last for longer than 6 months. Worsening of symptoms after any type of exertion, and unrefreshing sleep. Now, I have really bad unrefreshing sleep. I could have 9 hours and still feel like I haven't slept a wink. On top of that, you have to have at least one of the two bottom ones, cognitive impairment and the inability to remain upright with symptoms that improve when lying down. I've got orthostatic intolerance. I cannot stand in a queue for longer than 5 minutes before I start feeling like my spine is like spaghetti. I don't know if you saw the young girl that was on telly a couple of weeks ago. She described it as feeling like your head is like a bowling ball on a toothpick. Your head feels incredibly heavy, and then the longer you're stood up, the more your back feels like it's made of spaghetti, so you can't stand up, which is why you need to go and lie down. The amount of times I've said I feel an overwhelming need to get horizontal And that's exactly what I mean. I need to lie down. Even sitting upright's not going to do it because I've still got to hold my head up, which just isn't great. Yeah, so that's a good thing, and hopefully they're moving in the right direction. That all came from pressure from charities to start pulling their finger out with research because it's been ongoing for far too long with no known cause. What's next? I can't remember. Okay, there isn't a slide for this. I'm going to do a David Cameron. I've got a letter. I sent a letter to the Department of Health. Well, actually, I sent a letter to David Cameron, but he didn't reply. So the Department of Health wrote back. This is for my Foggy campaign. And I asked them one question. And I said, why do you not give any more funding to ME research? Because it's such a drain on the economy. All of those severe sufferers need carers, healthcare workers, support workers, regular doctor's visits. You know, it's going to cost a lot of money. And they're also on disability benefit, obviously. And it's essentially a load of waffle. But he's said that, I'll just read it, it's not very interesting. It says, neither the NIHR nor the MRC usually ring-fences funds for expenditure on particular topics. Research proposals in all areas, including CFS ME, compete for the funding available. Either they're not very good for fighting for the funding, or they're lying, one or the other. But most research funding for ME comes from charities, which is why I've set up the campaign to raise lots and lots and lots of money, because each research project costs £30,000. So yeah, so it takes a lot of effort to raise that money. So yeah, the charities in the UK are actually collaborating to fund research. Every single charity, so off the top of my head, ME Association, Action for ME, there's a few more, but I can't remember them. They're all working together to come to like the same conclusion, hopefully to get some kind of, this is what causes it. Personally, I don't care what causes it. They could tell me that I ate my own poo when I'm a toddler. I don't care. I just want someone to say why I've got it. That's, I just want someone in a lab coat one day to say, this is the reason why. And once we've got the cause, we can start moving towards what we do about it. Just a little bit of trivia. There are 107,800 HIV/AIDS victims in the UK. There are more than double ME sufferers in the UK, and yet they have at least 3 times more funding for research. And it is a fact that severe ME is the same as late stage HIV/AIDS or cancer. Now, when you consider that with ME there is no treatment, so but with HIV/AIDS and cancer there is, personally I think that ME needs to start getting a little bit more cash. But there you go, that's just my opinion. Okay, this is my social media campaign. Most of you know about Foggy. It's a year-long social media campaign sending a soft toy around the globe. I won't give the game away, it says how many miles he's travelled on the video. I chose a global campaign to highlight the fact that it is a global illness. It affects absolutely anybody, wherever you live in the world, however old you are. The youngest diagnosed sufferer in the UK was 2 years old. So it doesn't matter how old you are. I don't think, oh, I'm 50, I can't possibly get ME now. Yes, you can, is the answer to that. But yeah, so have a look at the video and just see what he's been getting up to. Oh, where's the video gone? Play. Play, 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 play. Play. So anyone that's not following him, feel free to add him on Facebook. Where is he going next? Philippines, I think. How to be jealous of a soft toy. Okay, so thank you very much for coming. I hope today's been enlightening. People that thought they knew what ME is. Hopefully I've unveiled a little bit of what it's actually like. Tonight wasn't about fundraising, but if anybody does want to donate any money for ME research, feel free to do it via mefoggydog.org. Can I just say, tonight I was actually going to have lots of stats and statistics, but one of my foggy followers who lives in British Columbia is a severe sufferer, and she owns her own, she runs her own charitable thing trying to raise funds and awareness from British Columbia. But I had an email yesterday and I could tell she was crying when she wrote it. And she was very apologetic because she had said she was going to do all my stats for me. That's why there haven't been any. But I said to her, the reason I've done this is for people like her who are so ill they can't sit up in bed, go on a laptop or anything. She was, according to her, she was a complete wreck yesterday. So if anybody was wondering why there weren't any facts and figures, that's why. Okay, well, thank you very much for coming.